Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan. I am so excited to be here with you today. I've got a juicy episode for you. I'm going to talk about 10 things that you need to know about securely attached relationships. This is something that I wish I had had access to early on in life, and especially when I was in a 1.5 year relationship with a narcissist. These are things that I wish I had known. And I like to do episodes like these where I'm giving you actual examples, tangible things that you can note down. Some of you are note takers. I know you are. So you've already got your pen and your journal out, but things that you can really take with you and use as a reference point. Because when I was growing up, when I was on my journey to learning how to have a healthy, secure relationship, I realized I didn't have a ton of examples or frameworks for knowing what is a healthy relationship. What does it look like in practice? And those of you who've been listening to the show, you know that I recently got engaged. If you're on YouTube, I am showing you my ring and my springtime lavender nails. So bonus, go subscribe on YouTube so you can see my ring. Okay. And for other reasons, sometimes it's just fun to watch and interact. Feel like we're having coffee together, right? So go subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Um, but I got engaged. I've been 3 years with my partner. And if you heard the whole story, you know that we actually dated back in 2011. And then we had a whole decade where we didn't really talk. And one of the things that I'm incredibly grateful for is that both of us did our separate work in order to become the healthier, more emotionally available, more securely attached versions of ourselves. So that this time around, I can confidently say we have co created a very healthy, securely attached, loving partnership. And it is better than I could have ever imagined. So I am speaking to you as someone who didn't have a lot of models, who growing up, I lost my mom at a young age, and then I watched my dad really struggle in his relationships. And I didn't really see a lot of healthy, connected adult romantic relationships. I just didn't have the models. And you may relate to that. Like when you're very honest with yourself, realizing, wow, I just didn't have a lot of the models. So this is for that person where you're going, well, what does it even mean? Like I see people talk about healthy, secure. What does that even mean? Let's define it. Let's talk about it. These are 10 things that are true in a securely attached, healthy relationship. I can remember being in the relationship with a narcissist and getting to that point where I had to leave the relationship. It was that rock bottom point in my life. And I can remember this question in my mind of how do you have a healthy relationship? I felt like I had no idea. I didn't have the models. And I can confidently say now I know so much about answering that question. So this episode is just the 10 things that I came up with. There's obviously a lot more, but let's dive into it. Point number 1. This is a really big one. I might spend some time on this. Point number 1 is the early stages of dating are not going to be lightning bolts and crazy highs and feelings of constant euphoria and a storybook romance. I think somewhere along the way that a lot of us internalize this idea that when like we've had people say that to us, and that when it's the person for you, you won't be able to stop thinking about them, and you will want to be on the phone with them listening to their breath. How many of you did that? Oh my gosh, I totally did that. Like in middle school, one of my first relationships. Yes, I started dating in middle school, and I just remember being on the phone, listening to each other breathing as we were falling asleep. Like this crazy level of obsession. Absolutely insane. Um, Anyways, it's a secure relationship is not going to feel that way. It's not going to feel like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. You, of course, will have moments of feeling attracted to the person and you feel curious about them. And you should have this feeling of, wow, when I'm in their presence, I feel like myself, I feel like my true self. And I feel excited to get to know them more. I'm curious about them. I am curious about them. I enjoy spending time with them. And I'm not totally obsessed. My life has been flipped upside down. And it's not this immediate, oh, I know that I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. Like that is just not a healthy, stable, secure beginning. So I wanted to set the record straight on that point because I know so many of you struggle with those early stages of dating. So if you have a ton of butterflies, if you're feeling constantly emotionally dysregulated, if you're completely obsessed with someone, that's not a sign that they are your person. That's likely a sign of an insecure attachment style, whether it's avoidant or anxious or disorganized, and a dysregulated nervous system. So I hope that that lands for you. I know for some of you that's tough love, but really remind yourself of that. Point number 2, in a secure relationship, conflict is going to help you grow as a couple. When you are in a healthy, loving, kind partnership, you will face conflict together where you don't see each other as the problem. You see the problem as the problem. This is so key. This is so key. And what I think is beautiful over time in a secure relationship is learning how to best navigate conflict with your specific partner. Like I said, it helps you grow. So learning, hey, my partner does better when we take a 10-minute pause, or my partner really appreciates a hug after a tough conversation. Or I've learned that if it's past 8 p.m., I can't show up in the way that I want to. I can't show up securely attached and intentional and communicating well. So, learning that about yourself and learning how to grow together, to just see conflict as a way to understand one another better and to learn what each other's needs are. And a lot of times, you realize that conflict is just a heads up that there's resentment building, that somebody needs more support. When you can pause and be really curious and intentional with each other, you realize that conflict is simply a symptom of something that's going on below the surface. So, in secure relationships, you approach conflict together, you see it as a symptom, and you work through it and you learn how to work through it in a really healthy way. So, if you're in a relationship where conflict's coming up and it's causing a ton of emotional distress and pain and it's damaging to both people, just know that's not a secure attachment, right? In securely attached relationships, we're not afraid of conflict. We're able to use it as a tool for growth. Okay. And no one talks about this. I don't know about you all. There was no conflict 101, communication 101 in school at any point. I had no idea about I statements, dialogue, which is something I teach all my clients, how to have tough conversations in a way where your partner can hear you and you can be heard, and you can also hear your partner, and you can move through things in a healthy way. None of us were taught that. So if you're listening and maybe you're in a relationship or you're dating and you're going, wow, my conflict navigation sucks, I do not want you to beat yourself up. I want you to have a ton of self-compassion and realize none of us are ever taught these things. We have to go and learn them. We do. Okay, moving on. This is a fun one. Number 3, securely attached sex is different sex. And there's a lot I could say about that. One of the key things is this: you have emotional safety as a foundation, and you have created healthy communication, and you have this acceptance of one another. And with secure attachment, usually both people are also good at expressing their needs, right? So, once again, healthy communication. So, what happens is this can be very different from people who have a dysregulated attachment system where there's an anxious avoidant dynamic, because a lot of times in an anxious avoidant dynamic, a sexual connection is one of the only times that you're feeling connected to your partner, because you're not doing it through communicating, you're not doing it through regulating your nervous systems and spending quality time together. If you're only feeling emotionally connected to someone during sex, that is going to increase the intensity of the sexual connection. Now, how do we have the same passion and fireworks in a securely attached relationship, right? How do we have good sex in a secure relationship? I will tell you, it is all about learning to communicate what your needs are and learning to have fun and be very vulnerable. So, when I am emotionally safe and I know that I can be fully seen and accepted with my partner, that is going to allow me to be more vulnerable and be more honest about what it is that I want. What are the things that I like? What are the things that I don't like? And you can help each other co-create a mutually fulfilling, enjoyable sex life. What I also love about securely attached sex is you're able to talk about sex. How many of you have been in that relationship where the sex is okay, maybe it's not going well, and you don't feel like you can say anything? I know I've been there. You don't feel like you can say anything because you don't want to hurt the person's feelings, or you don't want to suggest anything new because you're afraid that they'll take it as offense, that they're doing something wrong. When you've created secure attachment as the foundation, that leaves this opening for feedback to be open, honest, and direct. So you're able to have healthy, securely attached sex. And the wonderful thing is that this can actually get better with time. What I see with anxious avoidant dynamics or insecure attachment dynamics in sex is usually there will be a time where it's super intense and then it will completely fizzle out. And because there's no depth, because there's no communication, good sex will not last in that kind of dynamic. I also think what's different about securely attached sex is that there's communication around if I'm not up for it. Like, let's say I feel exhausted or I have an illness or I have some anxiety about something I have to do the next day, and I'm not able to be available in that kind of way for my partner, right? In a in a securely attached relationship, I can communicate that and I can let my partner know, "Hey, it's not about you. I desire you. I want to be with you. It's not about you. This is where I'm at." And because of that reassurance, the not having sex does not have to impact the relationship. I've been in past relationships, especially in my early 20s, where if we were or were not having sex, that determined how emotionally safe I felt in the relationship. And I can tell you that that is not a formula for long-term success in a relationship. So there's a few ways that securely attached sex is different. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about point number 4. This is one of my favorite words. A lot of you have heard me talk about this. It is interdependence. So we are not codependent. We are not hyper independent. In a securely attached relationship, we are interdependent. Those of you who've listened to the show or my clients, you know this. You've heard me say it, right? In interdependence, we have a wonderful relationship with ourselves. We know that I can self-soothe, I can meet my own needs, and simultaneously, I know that I can go to my partner for support. So I have the ability to show up for myself and to also ask my partner for what I need. And that creates interdependence. And I think what's really important with this model as well is realizing that your partner is not going to meet all of your needs. They're not designed to. Your relationship is not designed to meet all of your needs. There's so much research on this too. And Esther Perel talks a lot about this, how as relationships have evolved over time and our society has evolved over time, we have developed these crazy high perfectionistic standards of expecting our partner to be everything to us, to be our therapist, our best friend, our shopping buddy. They're supposed to be our travel buddy. They're supposed to do everything with us, right? And you're not compatible if you can't get all those needs met from your partner. But in the past, we knew that a partner could meet a few of your needs, right? And this is what I talk with clients about, of you have to get really clear on what are the needs that you want met by a partner? What are kind of the non-negotiable things, the compatibility pieces where you go, yes, I want to share a love of family. Family's so important to me. I need my partner to get it and to want to prioritize building a family, connecting with our families, right? That's one example. Maybe for you, a high priority is physical health, and it's a non-negotiable for you that your partner aligns with you in that area, and you want to be with someone who wants to go to the gym with you, who wants to eat healthy with you, and that's a non-negotiable. Those are all examples, right? And the key is get clear on what are the needs that I want to have my partner meet, and what are the needs that I am okay meeting myself or getting met in other relationships, friendships, family, mentorship, other groups. You can get your relationship needs met in other ways. So, interdependence. I am my independent self, and I am also co creating a secure partnership where we realize that, yes, we can self soothe, we can take care of ourselves, and we can also go to each other for support. If I'm codependent, I'm putting all the stress on my partner. I'm wanting them to meet all my needs. I'm wanting them to constantly soothe my emotions. I'm wanting them to have tons of reassurance for me, right? That's codependent. If I'm hyper independent, I'm not being vulnerable. I'm closing myself off. I'm not even letting my partner see how I really feel inside. And I'm operating in an independent way. Neither one of those work for long-term connection, which is why we need interdependence. And for anyone who's been in a long-term relationship, you know there's probably seasons where you are depending on your partner more, and there's seasons where they are depending on you more. And the important thing is being able to communicate about that and be aware of it. Okay, we are just cruising through these. I've got, oh gosh, how many do I have left? I have 6 left. Okay, number 5, reassurance. Reassurance. You need to know this about securely attached relationships. There's always going to be doubts, whether it's doubts about, is this the right relationship for me? Am I good enough for my partner? Does my partner want to be with me? Oh, they connected with that old high school friend who randomly called them. What does that mean about our relationship? Right? There's always, no matter how long you've been with someone, there's always going to be moments of, oh, are you still choosing me? Ultimately, reassurance is a way for your partner to let you know, I am choosing you. I want to be with you. I value this relationship. And in securely attached relationships, you get good at asking for reassurance, you get good at receiving it, and you also get good at giving it. And it relates to where did I have this? Point number 9. I'll talk a little bit more about this. But you can also get good at predicting when your partner needs it and being able to offer it. And reassurance is something that if you have never had it in a relationship, that once you start to experience it, it is such a corrective feeling. It's such a healing thing to finally have someone say, hey, I see you. I want to be with you. I love this relationship we're building. I value you. Like, I want to show up and do this with you. If you've never had that before, once you start experiencing that, it is such a corrective emotional experience. I was talking with a client the other day, and she's in the program, and she was rewiring her brain, all the things that we do inside the program, right? And she's dating someone new, and this person had been kind of distant because they had a ton of work stuff going on. And what happened was they had messaged her this beautiful text message where he was expressing, I am really enjoying getting to know you. I really value our time together. I'm so excited for our upcoming date. I want to pick the place that we go. Let me research some options. And I'm sorry about the distance that has been there. This is what's been going on for me. And this client of mine was telling me that she had never received communication like that. And when I think back to my early dating experiences, I didn't receive that either. I was in so many insecurely attached relationship dynamics that I didn't attract people who were able to express reassurance. So I'm telling you, it is a game changer. It will help you regulate your nervous system. It will help you embody secure attachment in an even deeper way when you can start to receive and express reassurance. All right, number 6. People in securely attached relationships have a team mentality. They believe in it is us against the problem. So they are able to look at issues and decide, how are we going to work on this together? So not labeling each other as the problem, but you realize we are on the same team. I joke with my partner that our relationship mantra is, we'll figure it out, because we went through 2 cross-country moves, career changes, health issues, family issues. I mean, you name it. We went through all kinds of things in the first 3 years of our relationship, and we always came back to, we will figure it out. And for example, we need to get landscaping. How many of you had to get landscaping? Let me tell you what a pain in the butt this is if you've never had to do it. Like, there are so many options. It's crazy expensive. I'm just like, wow, landscaping is this whole world I've known nothing about. First time homeowner here. And the other day I was like, hey, Robert, I cannot figure this out by myself. And we had to have a meeting about it, and we're working on it as a team. We're delegating things, he's calling places, we're looking over the options together. We're problem solving together. And this is what's different too about modern relationships versus like the 1950s or 60s. It's this idea of the mental load of a relationship and of sharing a life is shared. It is not, oh, the woman is the homemaker. She's supposed to figure everything out. In the modern securely attached relationship, you are partners. You are partners and you are sharing the mental load of a relationship, and you're co-creating the kind of life and relationship that you want. There's no, oh, that's not my role. And I think that's one of the things that's really changed in our society, that women no longer want someone who's just going to go out and earn all the money. Because guess what? We can earn our own damn money, okay? We want somebody who's going to show up with us and emotionally help us co-create a stable, loving relationship that acts as a base for both of us to then go out in the world and do what it is that we want to do. And to have communication around, hey, what are the things that you enjoy doing versus what are the ways that you can contribute. So it's no longer an automatic, this is your role and this is your role. Now, I'm not saying that being a stay-at-home mom or a homemaker, that is wrong. It's absolutely not. It's just that in our modern society now, there is a discussion about that, where women and men, and this goes for same-sex relationships as well, any kind of relationship that you want to have, there's this awareness of, oh, how do we delegate roles and how do we show up as teammates instead of it being a dictatorship? Right? Instead of it being, oh, there's one head of household. That is simply not how modern, healthy, securely attached relationships work. I might get some people that don't like that, and that's okay. I'm just telling you what I have seen and my own experience, and that's the way that we're evolving, and I think it's awesome. Okay. Number 7, you want to realize that a healthy, secure relationship is simple. It's not necessarily easy. Now, I oftentimes will say that it's easy, but what I mean by that is that it's simple. It's simple to create once you become a securely attached version of yourself. There really is, there's just a way of being and it becomes simple, but it's not easy in the sense that you have to prioritize the work. Now, as long as you are prioritizing the work of creating a healthy connection, of co-creating secure attachment, of regulating your own emotions, of, learning how to show up in a healthy, intentional way, as long as you're prioritizing that, then it gets to be simple and it gets to feel pretty easy. But I think some people think that, oh, once I get the person, then it's done. I have the relationship now, so the work is over. That's not the case. In a securely attached relationship, you continue to prioritize a healthy, secure connection by continuing to do individual work on yourselves and work together as a couple. And for me, one of the biggest ways I do this is I have check-ins with my partner. We have a weekly Thursday morning sit down. What's going well? What do we want to work on? Asking, how can I best support you this week? We are connected. We are connected. Where I see things kind of getting off course for people is when they stop prioritizing connecting with their partner and they're building resentment and they're feeling disconnected and they're not feeling like they're getting a return on their investment. Maybe they're not feeling seen, they're not feeling understood by their partner, they're not feeling appreciated. That's where things can start to break down. But it's just like, I think about it as like a gym routine. If you're working out consistently 5 days a week and you can maintain an overall level of fitness, awesome, right? It feels pretty easy. You've prioritized it. It's pretty easy. If you don't work out for 6 years and then all of a sudden you go, I'm going to run a marathon next week and geez, I'm really out of shape. And then you go, you get into this, like in relationships, it's like this SOS moment. I've done those couples therapy sessions. I can tell you they're very intense and you're trying to fix everything all at once. It's going to be really freaking hard and almost impossible, right? Some people can do it, some can't. So just like anything worthwhile in life, relationships require maintenance. Relationships require maintenance and continuing to prioritize making the connection healthy and securely attached. Okay. Number 8. This is getting longer than I expected, but I've got 3 left for you. Number 8, messy emotions will not break the relationship. For a lot of people who've been in unhealthy, toxic relationships in the past, they have so much fear about showing up in a vulnerable way, about being their true selves, right? I think about myself if it's that time of the month and I'm watching Hallmark movies and I've got the Kleenex box next to me and I'm crying, or I see a baby commercial come on and my partner looks over at me and I just have like these tears coming down. It's like you have to get to this place where you have so fully accepted yourself and you've done so much healing work on yourself that you realize, wow, the right relationship for me is going to accept me the way I am. And that includes messy emotions, because emotions are messy. We have them all the time as humans. We go through those moments. And obviously, you want to do the best you can to regulate yourself, particularly in conflict, right? Because you want to be able to show up as regulated as possible with your partner. It just helps. It just helps so much if we can do that. And there's going to be times where you're going to show up messy. You're going to be mad, or you're going to be like me and you're crying at a baby commercial on TV. And the beautiful thing is, when you've built up secure attachment, you have a partner who can understand you, who can be there for you, who can show up and not judge you for messy emotions. And that's the same thing that you give back to that person as well. I think a lot of us want to have space held for us when we have messy emotions. And then we have a lot of resistance of reciprocating that, of holding that same space for our partners. So being aware that this is a two-way street. If I'm going to show up with messy emotions, I have to also accept the times where my partner is going to show up that way. All right, the final 2, and these are really important. Number 9, attunement is a game changer. Attunement, go look it up, because I'm not going to have time to go too deep into this, but attunement is where we are attuned to our partner. I think about it like you've turned the dial on the radio station to be on your partner's frequency, and you are aware. You're tuned into them. You're not assuming how they're feeling, but you can have a sense, right? I don't want to confuse this with mind reading or my highly sensitive folks who really do feel everything and pick up everything. It's not that. It's that connection to your partner where you're aware of, oh, I think they might have this need. One silly example, I guess it's not that silly, but when when I have had a full day of podcasting and client meetings, sometimes going from 7 to 7 because I love what I do and I give it every ounce of energy I have. When I've had a day like that, my partner knows, okay, he's going to have dinner ready. He's not going to be super talkative, because the last thing I want to do is talk. He's going to have my favorite little drink concoction. Lord knows I have a million of them. Right now I'm drinking Element packets and water. It's my favorite thing. And he's gonna be really supportive and be there. That's him being attuned. He knows how my day was. He knows what I need. He's predicting it. With mothers and children, it's about predicting when the child's going to be hungry, or predicting when the child needs to go to bed, and being attuned to those needs. And it's the same in an adult relationship, basically. When is your partner going to be tired? When are they going to be hungry? I'm just kidding. There's also all kinds of other emotions, but those are some core things to be aware of. So attunement goes a long way, and you have that in secure relationships. You have it, and it goes both ways. Okay, number 10, this might be the most important. takeaway: inside of a healthy, securely attached relationship, you can heal parts of you that were previously wounded. You can have emotional experiences that are corrective. A lot of you have heard me say this. You can have corrective emotional experiences. And I don't think this gets talked about enough, because obviously you do want to focus on how can I heal as a single person, as an individual, but realizing the potential for healing inside of a relationship is huge. You can heal so much inside of a relationship, and you have to be willing to give yourself the opportunity to show up in a way that allows that healing to happen. So you can heal wounded parts of yourself inside of a relationship when it's a securely attached relationship. When it's not, we're likely going to do a lot of re-wounding and opening up wounds that had closed, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, 10 things you need to know about securely attached relationships. I'm going to just review these really quick for you. Number one, the early stages are not going to feel crazy in the early stages of dating. You actually are going to feel emotionally regulated and calm and just curious about getting to know the person. Number two, conflict helps you grow. Number three, securely attached sex is just different. Number four, you need interdependence. 5, learn to ask for and receive reassurance and also to give it. Number 6, you will have a teammate mentality with your partner. Number 7, it is simple, not easy, and it requires you prioritizing the health of the relationship over a long period of time. Number 8, messy emotions will not break the relationship. Number 9, have attunement in the relationship. That is a game changer. And number 10, you can heal wounded parts of yourself in a securely attached relationship. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I enjoyed it. And I don't think I mentioned this, so I'm going to mention it now in case you did not know. I am hosting a live event. It's happening June 8th, and I've never done this before. Okay. So you're going to want to come. It is focused on healing after a breakup. And I wanted to do this because there's so many of you who will message me and you're just saying you feel really stuck and you don't know how to move through it. And I thought, you know what? I need to do more content that is specific to how do I cope after a divorce, a separation, a breakup. Maybe it's a relationship I can't seem to get over, right? So I'm hosting a masterclass. It is called So Over It, because we are so over it. We don't want to be thinking about someone that is not doing us any good. We don't want to invest our energy into a relationship that is no longer serving us. We're so over it. Okay. So if you need help with getting over someone or dealing with a breakup or a divorce or separation, this masterclass is for you. And you can sign up using the link in the show notes. The spots are going to fill up quickly. In fact, I'm shocked at how many people have signed up already, and I've barely talked about it. So don't miss it. Sign up, link in the show notes. I will see you there June 8th. And to all of you, of course, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.